Hey everybody, I'm Emma Mitchell and I'm an energy healing guide, and I'm here again with Rebecca Fishkin. We're today talking about stress at work, what causes stress, and some ways that you can navigate that and overcome it. So, Rebecca, let's talk about this topic. Kick us off.
I will do that. Thank you, everybody. I'm Rebecca with Clarity to Authenticity Coaching, and I actually help people to avoid burnout and overwhelm. So this fits right into my focus. So we're going to talk about the stressors at work, right? There are some things that we have control over. We have control over um, our mindset and our energy. At the same time, the things that we don't have control over are the things that sometimes cause the stress. Let's talk about some of the things that we have control over. One is, do you are you busy for busy's sake? So are you a type of person who just you have so many things on you're a list maker. So you create your list and then your goal every day is to check off as many things as you possibly can. That's great. But what if those are not your priorities? What if that's just busy for busy's sake? Do you know what your um, 80% or your highest priority tasks are? And do you do those? Or do you just want to get through all of the little things because it makes the list smaller and I can feel better about it by doing that? How many people do that? Do you do that, Emma?
Yeah, sometimes I do. Yeah. Sometimes if I need a small win, then I'll say, what are the little things that I can tick off the box or get out of the inbox? But when I really look at my list and I recognize this, what's going to make me money or what's really important and high priority, then I'm a little bit better about that. But yeah, I do that sometimes.
I like what you said because sometimes we just are having a crappy day and we need a win. And all I want to do is just say I got something done today. And that's great. So I get it. That makes sense. And sometimes we were talking about this in preparation for today is that when you're in a job that you don't really have control over your environment. So, for instance, you are a bartender at a really um, busy restaurant. You can't just I gotta walk away for 10 minutes. You don't have a choice. The and But what you do have a choice about is taking a deep breath, remembering you wanted this job because you enjoy people and you like, I don't know, being creative at the bar or whatever. So reminding yourself of the positive reasons why you're there in one of those stressful situations where you don't have a choice of the environment and what you're doing, then that's one thing you can do it because you always have control of your mindset. So I don't know, Emma, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was actually just talking to my boyfriend this morning about his job because he has so many different people sending him priorities, and they're all conflicting priorities to the other priorities, right? And and I was trying to give him advice, and I don't even know, you might tell me this is poor advice, but I said, you probably need to go back to your own core values as you're talking about here and say, why am I in this job? What's important to me? And what am I focused on for this next 6 months? And if those things that he's getting pushed in 50 different directions don't match those priorities, how can he bucket those off or delegate them out to people who might be better served to do those jobs? And I think a lot of times people want to show that they're doing as much as they can, this proving behavior, proving that they can do their job or proving that they can do everything. And really it's about who's best for that task. And if you can
Good.
ask for that help or if you can send it down the line to somebody else, if you have that ability, rather than and I should have been more prepared for this, but have you ever heard of this concept of if you're in a relationship? one person takes 10 minutes to do the dishes and the other person takes 30 minutes to do the dishes, but they only take 10 minutes to do the laundry and the other person takes 50 minutes to do the laundry. Well, doesn't it make more sense for the person who's efficient at laundry to do that and let the person who's efficient at dishes to do that? So it's almost like this time problem. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. I think part of it is some people do dishes because it's therapeutic, right?
Not for
It's
me.
washing things. So so that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
yes and no. I think it creates an opportunity for a conversation between the two people. And it might mean as a leader, he can either choose these are the this is how I'm going to prioritize all of these and communicate that then to everybody that gave him tasks saying this is my goal for the day, this is the order I'm going to do it. If you need something that's more pressing, please let me know. Otherwise, my goal is to get all of these done by noon or whatever. So communication is a good part of that, that helps keep that stress level down. And right, how many times have you gotten so stressed out because your expectations were different than what the experience was? So by having open communication and getting clarity from the people that are giving you the tasks or the issues, then if you get clarity on how important is this, if I do this tomorrow, will that be okay? Or when are, anyway, just asking questions and getting clarity and then communicating, okay, this is my response, this is my takeaway, this is how I'm going to handle this. Is that in alignment with what you need?
Yeah, that goes back to that boundaries video we did
Yes,
about
very
clear
true. Yeah.
communication. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Um, do you have any advice on choosing a mission, vision, or purpose for people? And I know this is a long topic, but is there maybe like a little tidbit you could give?
You're right. This is probably something I could talk about missions in one whole episode itself. I think the easiest, simple way to look at it is what if you go back in time throughout your life and you can identify the times that you were high, you were joyful, you were just so excited about going and doing X. And then journal or think about all of the reasons what made that so amazing, what made, and you'll see over the course of your life that there are pins. There's times when this made you happy, this made you happy, this made you happy, this, and you can connect those dots and find a commonality between those, and that can help you figure out what is your superpower, what makes you joyful, and then try and build a life around that. um, my what I realized starting it in third and fourth grade was I my first job was to walk a kindergartner home from school every day. So in that on its own is not really big. Was it because I got a dime a day a kid, or was it because I was helping somebody? Those were the two things that I could write down about what I enjoyed about that. Then the next thing was I volunteered at a nonprofit organization that I did a camp for people with disabilities. So I helped them be active and find joy. That was volunteer. So that took the money part out, but it was the helping people. So you can see how over time that just got more and more fine tuned, but the common thread was helping people. So as you think about your past, what are the things that have really resonated with you in your activities throughout your life? And then Now that you have that, you have clarity on what's important to you. And then it's putting together a mission statement around that. And that's where we can go into a different class because there's a whole series on how to do that. Um, Understanding, though, what your core values are as well. So if your core value is caring for people and you get into an industry that has nothing to do with people per se, so you get to working in a stock market, in a way you're helping people, but is it at the one-on-one or the level that you want, or is it big enough because you're making that much of a big environment of helping people build wealth? I don't know, I'm making stuff up. Um, so anyway, that it's getting clarity on what's important to you so that let's go back to the laundry list of duties that we have and tasks. Going through email and writing a blog, or I don't know, someone was talking the other day about needing, they were required to do videos. Ironically, we're doing a video and it's not in their wheelhouse. Like that's not something that is in alignment with their core values and their mission. So no, I'd rather not do that. Find the duties and the tasks that fill your bucket, and those are the ones hopefully that also are the money making ones, if especially if you're an entrepreneur or in a small business and needing to make, bring the business money. You got to spend your time and energy doing the activities that you love that will fulfill the mission of the business.
Yeah, that's great. And that actually leads us to the next part of this, which is, speaking about videos first. We were talking about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable because sometimes we can stay in those little minuscule tasks because we're comfortable with them. But then when we have to step into something that's more involved or brings us out of our comfort zone, we could push that can down the road all day long. And so, of course, this is something that you and I help people with is why is this an obstacle? Let's release that. Let's clear it up so you can move through it. But we were talking about purpose. And one of the biggest reasons people come to me for Reiki or for, working with me one-on-one is because they're in a life of transition. They're in a transitional place, they're in a crossroads, and they may be feeling really uncomfortable in their body, having panic attacks, feeling really sick, everything feels unstable or really chaotic. And those are always the biggest signs to me that they're out of alignment with what they're meant to be doing. They're not in alignment with their purpose. And purpose doesn't even have to be work, but because we're talking about work, we're gonna put that in this topic today. So when, people come to me, usually they're like, well, this job is great because of XYZ things, and I've been doing it for so long and I know everything and yada yada yada, but their body, their energy is showing me, oh no, like this is not good for them anymore. And I personally have been through this in my own life, and I think you have too, Rebecca, but I was in a job that was a dream job for me. But then a year and a half in, I started getting really bad panic attacks, terrible stomach aches, couldn't drag myself to work, was didn't want to even put in the hours that I was meant to be putting in, and felt like I was simultaneously getting pushed against a wall and pushed down a cliff. I don't know how, but
Oh,
that was like both at the same time. It was like, ah. And, because I do, spirit guide work and, have these psychic abilities, I finally started to understand, hello, you actually hate this job, but you've been trying to make it work, make it fit because it fit for a while. So sometimes our stress at work could just be because we're not meant to be there anymore. We're not meant to be doing that thing anymore. We're meant to move on. We've come to that end of the season for that particular career path or that career particular role. and it's time to grow. It's time to up level in our life. And when we keep ourselves small, then we don't feel very good. So that causes insane amounts of stress. Something else that I've realized with clients and, of course, myself, because I'm my best client, I think, is that when we try to constantly do things that are above our skill sets. So I had this really interesting vision a while ago of me trying to dunk a basketball. Well, I'm short, I'm 5'3", I'm so short. And being able to dunk a basketball is not, to use your words, in my wheelhouse. So I was doing all these contract jobs, it was several years ago, that were not my skill set. I could do them, but I wasn't very good at them. I didn't enjoy doing them. They didn't fit my mission, vision, or purpose. And so I was constantly trying to dunk a basketball where I wasn't even dribbling the ball. If that if that vision can stick in your head. So sometimes people or you or whomever may be trying to just be uncomfortable all the time and operating in a position or a role or job that is not correct for you, it's not aligned with you, and not aligned with your skill set. So you can't ever get a win. You can't ever feel good about yourself because you're always trying to prove to everybody you're right for this or prove to yourself, and that causes a lot of problems in the body and causes a lot of mental health stuff too because you're just not in the right thing for you. And we all have special skills, right? Like you have amazing skills, Rebecca, in the things that you do. My skills are a lot different than yours. And we do these videos because we work well together and we both have different things to offer. So I hope that people realize that are watching this that you have a unique skill too. You have a unique skill set. It might just not be the thing that you're doing right now. And I'm sure you have things to add to this.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there for sure. So I like that you talked about you may have hit this the end of the season on that particular position, role, whatever. Um, I definitely have had that to the point that I found myself yelling at somebody in the hallway in the office, and I was like, "That's not appropriate." So went home that night, took a deep breath. Anyway, we so yes, part of it is also realizing and becoming aware that, oh, that's where this behavior is coming from. It's because at that time, I loved the people that I was working with. And I worked in a theater and it was rewarding. I could go to theaters all throughout New York and New Jersey for free. Like there were so many benefits. And I was trying to make it work because of all of the benefits and the people. However, I hit a wall. Like it wasn't, I wasn't getting the joy anymore that I was when I first started. And same similar situation that you were talking about. So there's a lot to be said for that. Um, Being solid in who you are and the people that you're working with, because it also could be that the job is perfect, the business is great, but the people that you're working with are maybe they have a victim mentality, or it's a coworker, not a supervisor um, relationship, but a coworker, and you are constantly picking up the ball for them, and so that's causing conflict. It's becoming aware of why you're feeling this conflict, and then it's a lot, not that it's easy, but it's a little bit easier to figure it out down the road. Like, what can I do to change this? Do I need to find a different role? Do I need to talk to a supervisor? Do I need to sit down and talk to this other person? I don't have the answers to that. However, but asking the questions is where to go. Once you become aware of the conflict and where the stress is coming from, then you can figure out how to get out, hopefully, quickly. and get your life back on track. Um, and you had mentioned mission, vision, and purpose. Getting clarity on surrounding yourself with people who are in alignment with that. Um, because like those victim mentalities that you have in your life, in your business or whatever, they're completely draining.
Mhm.
And so if you have a client that is, you're never going to win, you're never going to bring them out of the funk that they're in because they're almost choosing to be in that funk, whether they are aware of it or not. Their unconscious mind is keeping them in that funk. um, there was something I was going to go down the road with that, and now it's gone. Do you have
Well,
anything to add?
I'll just pick up from where you may or may not have been going with this, but it is about, like you're saying, surrounding yourself with the right people. But as entrepreneurs, as you and I both are, and some people who will be watching this are, we feel we don't have control over who we work with, but we do. And sometimes working with a client, like you're mentioning, it drains us to the point that we don't have that excitement for our purpose or for the reason that we started the business to begin with. And that can really drag us down. So finding those bright spots of clients that make you say, oh, yeah, this is why I do this is super helpful. And sometimes, yeah, you do have to work with people for a little bit of time, especially if you really need the money. That may not light you up and may make you feel bad, but it's sometimes more rewarding to fire those clients or to put a firm, stake in the ground to say, I only work with people that meet these criteria. So you don't get pulled down into the abyss because it is pretty easy. And I personally have worked with people whose, we'll say, funk as the nicest term, has taken me down into the abyss right with them. And I've had to say, I can't, this isn't working. We can't do this anymore. Because they're not trying to change, really.
Yeah, that. And sometimes when they're in that mindset, you're to blame
Hmm.
from their perspective. So that creates additional conflict.
Yeah.
Um, I agree that there are times when those of us that are in business for ourselves or in small businesses, getting clarity on what is the ideal client and knowing very easily that if someone fits into that or doesn't, and having the strength and confidence to say, I'm really sorry, this is not the best fit. And maybe you can refer them to somebody else so it's still something, some way to help them. But if you can tell off the bat that they are not going to be receptive to the way that you are going to help them, then be very comfortable. It's one of the blessings of being an entrepreneur is that we can choose who we work with. And unfortunately, if you work for a company like your husband does, you don't get a choice there.
Yeah. Well, there's always a choice in where you work or how you
Well,
do
there's
your job.
that.
Yeah. But I know what you're saying. And but yeah, I could see, clients can cause unnecessary stress. And then on top of that, chasing clients that aren't right for you. Yeah, I found so much freedom in saying, this person is not an ideal client for me, so I'm going to offer the one service they came to me for, but I'm not going to try to upsell them on full-time working with me because it's not correct. And that has given me so much relief to say, no, that's not my ideal client. So it's kind of amazing when you're able to do that and trusting your intuition that it's not going to work, or they may seem like an ideal client, or it may seem like an ideal job, but somewhere inside you is saying, don't you dare do that. Don't you dare, because your intuition is always correct.
There's definitely a link between your gut and your brain, and you listen to your gut instinct because it's actually your unconscious mind telling you, "Mm, don't do this."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think, a lot of people that intuition, the red flags, the green flags, all of that information is so helpful to making daily life decisions, but it's also helpful in recognizing, and I was going to use the word numb, like where you've maybe been numb or maybe being been settled in something for a long time when you're finding that awareness to use the words you're using because awareness is the key. The recognition, the awareness of knowing this isn't right for me anymore, or I'm very unhappy. And why is that? I'm very stressed, and it's not just one shift, bartending shift. It's like every single day for 6 months, there's a problem. That's not a normal way of life. And if it is, then I feel bad because that's not the way it should be. We're supposed to be in peace most of the time.
Yeah. I remember a time when I I was not aware of how uncomfortable and how unhappy I was when my until my husband said, maybe in the morning, maybe you'll find something to smile about today.
Oh, wow.
Like it was so jarring, right? Sometimes we need the people that we know, love, and trust to say something that blatant in my face.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And it's such a small comment, but it was such a big
Oh, yeah,
revelation.
it was big.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when you're not, I don't even want to get in the car and drive to work. I don't like, I can't, whoa, those are big signals. So, listen to what your gut and your brain are telling you every day, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
Agreed.
was good. This
Yeah.
was a lot more in depth than we had originally talked about. I love it.
Exactly. Well, I think this is a topic that I feel is near and dear to both you and my heart and your heart because this is how we help people. We want them to be aligned. We want them to feel good and not stressed and not um in turmoil, like everybody deserves to be happy and making money being happy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything else
Perfect.
to wrap up?
Nope, but stay tuned for other of our sessions and learn more about mission statements and relationships with other people. And we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.